Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at another little pawn shop find, and this is my cat photo bombing. Hey, yeah, go to your bed. Go to your bed. Alright guys, welcome back. Today, we got us a handgun review. I haven't done a gun review in a little minute. And this one here, I'm calling the first 50. Yeah, we're going to go with that, first 50. And that's because I'm doing the review on this gun after doing, actually just shy, it's going to be about 46 rounds through this handgun. One box of ammunition. I got 4 left out of that box. And this is a used firearm, by the way. This is a miniature Luger. These are commonly called baby Lugers. This is made by a German company called Erma, and here's where I'm going to mess up, Werke? W-E-R-K-E. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but this is the model KGP 68A, and I believe I looked up, this particular model was made in, I believe it might be 1968 or 1972. I don't remember, but it's somewhere inside of that range. So you know, it's a pretty classic firearm. Now, information is a little scarce on these online. They are kind of rare, but they are out there. And basically what this is this German company after World War II took the Luger P08 and they scaled it down and made 3 pocket models. Well, I would call this a pocket model because it's smaller than the full size. And you see, I have small hands and it still looks pretty small in my hand. They made these in 3 different loadings. So the smallest was a 22 long rifle, which I'm kind of curious how that would work with the way that these stack up in the magazine, and also the toggle system. They also made a 32 ACP, and then this model right here, which is in 380 ACP. So, neat little guns. These were not meant to be service guns to my knowledge, from what I can figure out looking online. These were meant to be commercial, more or less planking shooting guns, something like that. Now they are now it's really nice. It's nicely made. It looks nicely made. It feels nice. However, in my research I did see some problems with these. Apparently, the actual frame itself isn't made out of really high quality metal. I've had people say that it's likened to like pot metal, which I'm not 100% sure. And I did even see one specific case online where somebody had a crack down here on the side of the frame. Not the end of the world. This particular part of the frame doesn't take a whole lot of force. And of course, you know, a really good gunsmith, if you want to put the money into it, could save something like that. Now, I got this gun in a pawn shop for 450 bucks, which if you're asking me for anything that's a actual toggle lock Luger is dirt cheap. And it's funny enough is it's the exact same price that I paid for my commercial P09. Or sorry, the what is this? The P1. Yeah, the P1, which is the civilian version of the P38 that came out after World War II. Actually, I believe these, well, this particular model was made in 1979, but if you look at the difference in size, you can clearly see that this is meant to be a scaled down firearm from its original size. I'm going to put this off over here for right now. So besides that, you know, like I said, information is kind of scarce on these. I could not find a serial number lookup for this particular firearm, so I couldn't pin down the exact date. I think from the block I saw on one of the links I was looking at was, like I said, between 1968 and 71, somewhere in there. I don't know when the production of these ended. If it has ended, I don't know if they still make them. Like I said, not a whole lot of information online about these from when I was trying to do some research. So we're going to go mostly off of the firearm itself and go from there. Now, I will say a couple things about this this gun right here. It's particularly with the 380 version with this one here. And there are two things that I had problems with this gun. First of all, on a empty magazine, to get this thing to lock back on an empty mag, see empty mag, and you gotta have it on fire to get it to lock back. Getting it to get back far enough to pick up a round, not that big a deal, but get it back enough to lock, you really have to give it some oomph to get back. Now, it's loosened up a lot more since I've shot it than when I first got it. When I first got it, it was really, really tough to break loose. The other part of it is dropping it down, as you've seen in some of the shooting and stuff like that. It is a little hard sometimes to get this to drop, but like I said, it's loosened up a lot since I've shot it. When I first got it, like I do with pretty much every gun that I have interest in, that's a different platform that I've never, you know, been inside the guts of. I tore this thing completely down, figured out exactly how this thing functions, and then I went ahead and oiled it up because it was pretty dry, pretty dirty. So I cleaned up a little bit, oiled it up, and now it's much better than it was. It's still really tough. I've never gotten a chance to handle a full-size Luger before, so I don't know how this compares to a full-size one. But the spring back here is pretty tough. Now, the other issue that I have is with the magazine itself. Now, these magazines, you have this basic little pull style lug here, so you can easily thumb down and unload it. This spring is just crazy tight. I mean, it is really, really tight. So the problem that I had, well, especially the first couple ones, once again, it's loosened up a little bit since I've shot it. So I don't know how, what the story is with this gun. If someone bought it and then literally just didn't shoot it hardly at all. It's got a great barrel on it. The bore's great on it. It's mostly in decent shape. I mean, it doesn't really have any rust or pitting or oxidation or anything like that. So, you know, it's in decent shape. So I don't know what the situation is, but it's almost like it's not broken in, which I guess is good for me. But this spring here is crazy. The first couple ones aren't so bad to get in here, but about that third, going on to the third one and beyond, it is really, really tight to get in. And then you have to, what I was doing there, as you saw, is I was hooking it on the table and move it like that so I can load it in. And that was the easiest way I found, just because how small of this is. Now, my experience with a lot of pocket guns, especially direct blowback guns, two things tend to be kind of a constant. First thing, they usually have really stiff springs for the slides. I remember my first handgun I ever bought for myself was a Taurus PT22 with the pop-up barrel. And I can tell you right now, the pop-up barrel was the way to get that thing rolling, because the slide was so tough on that thing that it was really hard. Now, of course, now I have more experience with firearms. It might be easier now, but back then it was real hard to rack that slide. So, of course, you pop up that barrel, throw it around it, boom, you're ready to go. And after that first shot, it cycles on its own. So that tends to be kind of a theme with these small pocket guns, especially blowback guns. Now, I don't know why, with this being a toggle lock, that it would require that, because toggle locks, like I said, it's not a direct blowback gun, so you shouldn't need it as stiff as a spring. Now, one interesting thing about this gun is it does have a chamber indicator. So this little pin right here, when you got a load in there, around in the chamber, it will just stick up just a little bit, and it actually has red on it. Let me see if I can lock this open. If you look, it's got just a little red mark that you can see on there when it's you know, actually got one in the chamber. As you can see here, you got your basic safety. Now, the interesting thing about the Luger platform is this firearm right here was instrumental in really setting up a lot of the ergonomics we're used to today when it comes to firearms. I mean, really, if you think about it, this one here and the broom handle Mauser were like the first ones that really really set that in motion, as far as having a rear safety that you can actuate with your thumb, and having a magazine that you can drop with your thumb as well. Now, this particular one has target grips on it, which, if you're shooting, are kind of nice. You got a nice little edge to put your thumb on. Of course, you know, I have small hands, so a normal person's thumb would be up here resting all the way along this. Me, I just kind of bring it down on this. Now, I am going to be eventually swapping these out for some wood grips. They are out there. They are kind of hard to find from what I've seen. Target grips are nice, but to me, I don't know, just that little edge right there just gets in the way, especially if I'm trying to drop a mag. I have to get it into like a weird angle to drop it, or drop it with my right thumb, or yeah, my left thumb, like that. Now, as you saw, mag does drop nice and good out of the gun. So that's one thing. Now, one thing I would like, if you take a look here, you get some nice little markings right there. So when I bring y'all in closer, we'll go over the actual stuff a little bit closer on the gun. Let's do an ATD break and get some shooting footage in. Alright, so now my ugly mug is out of the way, and you're not having to look at me. Let's go over some of the markings before, and some of the little features on here before we try to do the disassembly. Now, first of all, let's just take a look at this thing. This thing has some really nice markings. So, it's an M and a W, which I guess stands for the Erma Werke, whatever. And then on the side of the actual barrel and receiver, we have 9mm Kurtz, 380 short. We have the serial number, the model number, the maker, 1969. I believe that is the actual manufacturer year right there. I believe that's why I kept saying 69. And some proof marks. See the safety fire right here, and then proof mark on the barrel. Now, you see everything's got real nice checker and knurling on everything. Let's flip her on over. Now this is like a Bakelite plastic grips. Not great. So we got, I guess this is the importer, LA, Dister, New York. And then the patent number, made in Germany. And of course, not really much else on this side over here. Not much on the bottom or anything like that. See, just a nice little gun. Now for the disassembly on this, what you have to do is you have to pull the barrel and receiver forward a little bit and then get this pin to come out. Now the easiest way that I found to do it is to tip it upside down like this and just kind of like so. So now that's out, you can actually slide. Let's see, how was this? Again. Yeah, so you. I just did this. Okay, so once you get it here, you have a pin that's right here. Now I'm going to use 760 by 54R. You got this pin right here. You pop this pin out one way. As you can see, it is pretty oily from when I oiled it up the other day. Might have to get something longer. Let me grab something a little bit longer. So you pop this pin out like so. Now the pin's out. This is kind of the pivot block right here that connects to the toggle and the spring. So it's under a little bit of spring pressure, but nothing too crazy. And it's out. So now once that pivot pin's out, you can lift this up. This is our recoil spring right there. Take that out. Then right here is another little ball pin and spring. I believe this is the that's the spring that actually rotates here. So, so this is actually the recoil spring. And this one here is, what is that one? Okay, this is actually the firing pin spring right here. So now that that pin's out, you can actually slide the whole thing out the back. Where you can slide this forward. So take the receiver barrel right off like so, and you can see all the way down in there. Rifling's pretty good. And then now you can just kind of lift up the toggle link system here, and let's set that to the side. So first of all, you can see basically the real simple way this works, and then of course also it has a magazine safety, so you cannot actually engage the sear here without the magazine in it. Because if you look, this little sear does not go down with a magazine in. Magazine in, you can take it down. And essentially, this is a striker-fired firearm, very similar to modern striker-fire guns, and like the VZ58, stuff like that. So kind of interesting to think about. You know, the Luger, to my knowledge, is one of the earliest, you know, striker-fire guns. Now, I'm gonna grab a piece of paper towel because I got a bunch of oil on this. I'm just gonna just do a light pat down. Now, for field stripping, this is really as far as you really need to go to clean the gun. You don't have to take all the pieces apart, but as you can see now that we got the toggle out, this is actually the firing pin right here. Give that, don't need quite that much oil. And you can see this is what inside this little toggle spring sits inside of like that and mounts in there. So that's how this firing pin has that spring pressure, is that right there. So I'm gonna set that off to the side. Now, y'all know me, I'm a nerd for the technical part of this stuff, you know, firearms, the manufacturing, the design, stuff like that. And the toggle lock system to me is just an interesting system because it works on the same concept that all handguns need, is that a delay, and it gets that by having this straight wrist set up here and technically 1, 2, 3 pivot points. The only thing that's set on a rail is just the bolt itself, which slides in and out of the actual, get that hair off there, sits right here inside of the actual slide and barrel right there. So basically what happens is when the gun fires, the recoil energy comes straight back, presses against this here, and because this has these pivot points here and spring pressure here, it gives just enough delay before it starts actually forcing back this wrist pin. So once it gets to this point right here and it breaks that straight in line, then all the force is on the spring itself. So essentially we got it to where we got a straight line, and everyone knows a straight line is a very strong force to handle compression strength. So once it gets just enough force to push this angle up, then the spring pressure takes that open and keeps it going slow at a reasonable space, and then boom, you got right there, ejects, and then picks up your next round. It's a really neat little system. Now, is it the best system? No, it's not. But it was good for the time. Because you have to understand, at the time this gun was designed, we're talking, I believe the original, they were starting development back in the 1800s, if I remember correctly. So you have to understand, Industrial Revolution, mechanics, you know, a lot of mechanical thinking, how gears and pulleys, stuff like that. So, you know, you get that kind of mechanical operating system. Now, you can take it down more than this if you want. Push out this pin just like we did here. Push out that pin just like, you know, we did for here. But it's not really necessary to take it down that much further, just to give her a wipe down. Like I said, I oiled it a lot, so it's got a little too much oil. I'm just gonna take a little bit out here. Don't need that much, but good amount in there. I'm gonna take this the recoil spring. Now, also if you think about it, look at the size of these springs. Those two springs operate this whole gun. Now, I get it, it is 380, but these springs operate this whole gun. For instance, this is a Colt Government 380. See, empty. Let's take it down as well. Now we'll be doing a review on this one eventually as well. See, what is the takedown? Right, is it right there? There it is, right there. Take that out. Pull it out. Look at the size of the spring, the recoil spring, compared to the recoil spring here. Now, granted, it is a different design, has different requirements. Same cartridge though. So, you know, just kind of neat. Like I said, that's that engineering stuff that I love about firearms. Let's see. So I'm gonna have to get this thing back on here. Okay, got the Colt back together, figured out what it is. Very specific little thing. When I do the review, I'll talk to y'all about that. But let's set that off to the side. So anyways, we've got this all field stripped. Okay, it's clean, ready to go back together. Now, you can do this two ways. You can do it like I did earlier. You can slide it off and leave that in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first get out that piece of cat hair and slide you back into here like so. Move you up, just kind of set that up there. I'm going to slide you back on. Now, this next part's a little tricky because you have, it would help also if I put the striker back in. Now the striker is set up to follow the same rail as the bolt is, so when you put it in, gotta make sure it's lined up, and it only goes one way If you put it the other way, the striker won't go in. So very good design as far as that goes. So we slide this back in. Now here's really the tricky part with reassembly of the Luger series of pistols, and that is the springs. So as you can see, the this little pin here goes through this eye here. So, and the eye goes up. So what you have to do is you have to slide it down inside of your striker. Okay, make sure it's up. Okay, that's one thing. The next part you have to do is take your recoil spring, and there's a little kind of cavity down in there that this goes inside of, like so, and boom, there it is. So now you just make sure that's rotated up, straight up. The round part has to be upwards. Okay, now comes the tricky-ish part. You got to bring the bolt back just a little bit, pop it up in there to where it is. Okay. Okay, so now make sure that's right. Okay. Now it would help also when I did the recoil spring, I remember to put the cup back on. That's kind of important. That takes up a little bit of length and also gives it kind of a guide rod, and also gives it something for it to sit inside of that little cup area down there. So we're going to slide this back in like so. Now you see it doesn't stick out as far, or it doesn't sit in as far, so we're going to put you back in like so. So now we're going to put this back in. And now, of course, the striker is now sitting on top of the on top of the sear. So we're gonna try to turn this up, pop it up in there. Okay, so now it's in. So now we're going to put the pin back in. Now at this point, there's not really any force on the actual recoil spring itself. That is going to go force on as we move the gun back forward. So now that it is forward, we're going to slide the barrel receiver section forward. But if you look here, you see that little ball? It helps to make sure it is just right there. So when it catches on, it's in that little nipple or that little dimple. So now you can move your gun forward. Just put this right back here, like so. And there we go. We are back together. And let's do a function test. Make sure it is fully on fire. Okay, we are locked. Back out. And there we go. We are back together. So that's the disassembly for the KGP 68A. We're gonna back out and kind of close this video out. Alright guys, well that's pretty much it. I can't really say a whole lot more. I will say I don't have a holster for it, so I use this holster here. That's a surplus holster that goes to my VZ52. It fit in there pretty good. Now, I'll have to say, shooting this thing was actually really pleasant. It has super light recoil. I mean, it is a fairly heavy handgun for its size, but it was pretty good shooting. I can't say, you know, I had any problems with it. Now, accuracy, I couldn't test accuracy 100% because, as y'all know, my still target has a big hole in the middle. So some of my shots, which you can see clearly in the video, I was shooting straight through it. So accuracy was pretty good on it. But anyways, guys, yeah, no, it's a neat little gun. Really neat little gun. I do like it. Would I carry it for self-defense? No. I tried putting a hollow point in it at one point, and it won't feed hollow points very well. So you're really stuck to ball ammo. So not all that good for carry, but is it fun for planking, shooting, and saying, hey, look, you know, I got this little baby Luger. I don't want to take my surplus World War II one out to the range, so we'll take this little thing out there and blast away with it. And 380 is slightly cheaper than 9mm, so you know, it's great for that. But anyways guys, like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. I'm trying to get some more gun reviews out, and if y'all could, hit the bell icon. I can see on my analytics, most of y'all are not subscribed. Well, y'all are subscribed, but most of y'all aren't actually seeing my videos from the recommendations and notifications, and that's because the bell icon is not clicked, or YouTube has de-clicked y'all from my bell icon. So I got most of my views from the feed, which I got 35k subs. Y'all guys should be seeing my videos first before anyone else. So be sure to hit that little bell icon, and make sure y'all see my stuff right when it comes out. See y'all guys next time for the next review for... I don't know yet. Anyways, y'all have a good one.